Hi guys, and welcome back to Pass and Move, and for today's episode we are back against Manchester City in the Premier League, of course, and they're currently in 8th place. So this is a lively Liverpool series, of course, and we will have to do well to actually catch up with Chelsea, who are still very impressive, but yeah, they are currently 15 points ahead of us. But we do have the opportunity, of course, to actually close that gap here and even jump ahead of Manchester United, so it makes today's game even more important. But yeah, City do have 4 games in hand to us, so that's about 12 points if they win every single one of them. That leaves them in about 53 points, actually, if I'm not mistaken, and that would be very interesting, of course, because that's the points total that we're on currently. But yeah, I mean, obviously we can keep them down there, get Pep fired possibly. He's under a lot of pressure right now. I think the board are being a bit patient because he does have games in hand, but the point is he's in the Europa League spot, so I think not even at the moment. So City are definitely going to be on his case, and we can help add to that pressure and try and get him fired. But yeah, just in terms of general things, Lacazette has the top goal scorer for us so far, 17 goals. Salah with the highest average rating, which is good to see considering how about halfway through the season we've changed his role to an advanced playmaker and he's still performing. He's got the 16 assists to back up why we should play him as an advanced playmaker as well. Jorginho still got the best pass completion rate, which is good to see. Klein with the most man of the matches, which is understandable considering he's a fullback, which is a very important role in our tactic. We've got Robertson and Keita, or Naby even, tied for the most yellow cards, and Klein and Emre Can with the single red card. So in terms of finances, we're doing really well. The overall balance is 172, which isn't too great, but of course it's just dropping off because we are going through the season. It should have another little spike afterwards when the next season starts pretty much. But in terms of our profit and loss, we seem to be doing really well, and of course our transfer budget is in perfect condition as well. We can't really ask for more than 18 million. But anyways, I think that's kind of the general things. Maybe we can cover something about the board. We've also asked them to improve their training and youth facilities once more, so they've done it already, and they plan to have it, well, at least the planning stage will be complete by I think that's October in 2019 of this year. So I reckon once the season will be done, this will also be done in terms of the planning stage, and then they'll have to get started on the actual building stage. But it's good to see them, agree to pretty much any request I make. I was considering asking them to expand the stadium even more, but I feel like if they felt it was necessary, they would do it. We do have a respectable amount of fans who come to the stadium all the time. Let me have a look at the facilities. Where is it? We've got 54k, which is obviously not as much as Wembley or maybe Old Trafford, which is about 80k, and I think we can do a bit better in that sense. But at the same time, we do have to consider who will be showing up in terms of the general season ticket holders. We've got 30k, so I think we could do a bit better there. It's a relatively high number, but I think, yeah, definitely can do better, and I think I'll leave it up to the board to decide when to go through with expanding the stadium or not. And I think that's kind of covered just about every general sort of thing, so to speak. It's February now, so we're really getting towards the end of the season. We'll have to step it up, and we need to do that today and continue our winning run. So in terms of the schedule, we did show that last game against Chelsea in the Premier League when we managed to draw 3-3, having gone into half-time with a 2-0 lead. Willian and Icardi both the culprits for helping City turn the result around and get away with the draw. It was a very disappointing draw, which felt more like a defeat. But we just have to deal with it and move on and accept it. So we beat West Ham after that 2-0. Kent and Jorginho on the score sheet. Manchester City, we managed to beat them 5-2. But unfortunately for us, that wasn't enough. We managed to get kicked out of the Carabao Cup in the semi-final. So City managed to go through on away goals. Patrick Roberts there scoring in the 107th minute after Sadio Mane gave us what we thought was the winner, and Roberts' goal was enough, and unfortunately 13 minutes wasn't long enough for us to try and score another and go through. Very disappointing result considering how much effort we went through here. We scored in the 85th minute to actually send this tie into extra time. Klein was sent off in the 57th minute as well, so we really shouldn't be outscoring our opponents and whatnot. But Mane as well, again, another time where we thought we were going to win the game, but Roberts destroyed those hopes, and I guess we only have ourselves to blame for losing the first one 4-1. But yeah, against Derby, we managed to go to FA Cup 5th round, which is drawn against Sheffield Wednesday, so hopefully it'll be smooth sailing into the FA Cup 6th round and possibly into semi-finals, I think it was. But yeah, 5-1 is as good as it gets in terms of result. Lallana on the score sheet, they managed to open the scoring first, but Lallana helping us even it out in the first, just before first half, before half time, sorry. And he also managed to grab another goal in the 83rd minute. Origi's coming of his own in the 54th and 58th minute, managed to score 2 goals. He's really starting to be a top striker for us. Hopefully he continues to develop and keep up his good form, and maybe he can put some serious pressure on Lacazette. But yeah, you know, 13 starts, 10 goals, 5 assists, not a bad ratio at all. Against Middlesbrough, we managed a 4-2 away win. Bit sloppy towards the end there. We managed to go ahead through Jorginho and Lallana, and then Boakye, let's just call him Richmond. Richmond scored in the 82nd minute. Thankfully, Lallana Kent made things comfortable for us, and Harry Chapman just trying to give his team a little bit of a hope, I suppose. But either way, 3 points in the bag. Brighton wasn't as easy, and Wallace was the one who had to score in the end. We're let down by his midfielders and attackers, as you can tell here through the ratings. The defence are the ones who held things together for us that day, and did incredibly well to actually get the goal as well. That gave us all 3 points. So just to give you a bit of an idea, as you can see, we're playing in Anfield here. We got 54k, so that's fully loaded for a game against Brighton, which you'd argue is not a huge game. Against Manchester City, also Anfield, fully loaded. So you'd argue, actually, now that I'm reconsidering, we should probably ask the board, since we're always maxing out our stadium, to expand it, and it would seem to make the most sense. But I think I would reckon waiting until we have a bit more decent money, just so we survive and that our transfer budget doesn't suffer for it. Scouting budget, I've just realised, is actually a little lower than I thought, so we should give them a hint more money. Alright, so I think we can finally go ahead and kick off. We can talk more about who's starting and why. I don't think there's any real other updates. Maybe because it's February, we should try and update you on terms of how the transfer window went. So Telles is one of those players we couldn't get rid of. Still listed. Keita's unhappy because he wants a new contract. If I'm not mistaken, we just signed him, so I didn't want to give him the upgrade, and he's just gonna have to deal with it. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to move him on as well. As much as I don't want to do it, it just doesn't make any sense. He's on 120k. Don't want to give him any more than that. He's considered a key player, which he shouldn't be in the first place. And yeah, he's just only joined, so it's unusual for him to ask for more money already, and I'm trying to sort of balance the books so we're not spending pointless money everywhere. But yeah, I mean, it depends how he ends the season. He's been pretty decent all season round, so it might be a good idea actually to just give him a contract update anyways. We'll see how it goes as the season goes on as well. That made me forget. Alright, transfers, I think it is. Transfer history. Alright, so we bought in Lafont, which everyone already knows, in the January transfer window. No other real buys. In terms of the outs, just a bunch of loan players, and unfortunately for us, we couldn't actually get rid of anyone significant, I suppose. The players that we were trying to get rid of, the likes of Sturridge, Karius, Markovic, all on incredible wages, so which will hopefully decrease our wage budget once they, or increase rather, once their contract ends. He's on 75k and he hasn't played a game for us in pretty much all season round. Karius as well, not needed at all. He complained he wanted to leave. I tried to sell him. No one's interested in selling him or loaning him. And he's on 60k wages. And we have Lafont, of course, now, who's supposed to be the youngster with potential. Sturridge just on ridiculous amounts of money, 130k, which is what I think we gave Naby, about 120. So that's kind of, the kind of wages that Sturridge is. I think someone came in for a bid for him. I'm finally getting someone to buy him, and then he refused because of the wages being poor. So I think it's going to be one of those things where he's not going to realize that he's in danger until he's actually been released. But just to give you a bit of an idea, according to Alex, he's still a leading player, but I think most of my coaches would agree that he's just a good player for most Premier League sides. And of course, we have the better alternative, which is Lacazette. So anyways, I think we can actually this time finally kick off and get things going. Remaining with the same tactic really that seems to have been working with us recently, and the way the season's gone, we better hope that next season no real true standout team, just as Chelsea and Manchester City last season have, where they go on a crazy winning run and an invincible season pretty much. That's very hard to overcome. So we've been a bit unfortunate, but at the same time we could have done better at certain points, and today's one of those points that we can define whether it's, you know, better, where we can do better or not. But anyways, 4-2-3-1, symmetric I suppose, with Emre Can as the anchor man, Jorginho as a box-to-box midfielder. He's done well recently in that role, overtaking from Naby, who's a bit, you know, complaining. We've got Robertson, Alexander, Trent Alexander-Arnold in the fullback positions. Trent actually captaining our side today. He's even though he's a youngster, he's got incredible leadership skills, and so it's good to see him get the, you know, the captain's armband. Gomez and Wallace in the central defence is our best defence really. Timo Horn as well as a goalkeeper, that's pretty standard. And then we've got the likes of Origi, Lallana and Salah, and as well as Kent in terms of the front four. So I think it's just about moving into the dressing room, giving a team talk. But I think we should have a good enough side to at least challenge Manchester City. Now, of course, we've got Lacazette off the bench if necessary. His form dropped off a little bit, and that's why Origi took over him. Chamberlain is a decent player to have as a backup, but Mane as well as Keita, of course. We've got a very strong bench in truth, with several different players that we can turn to if the result doesn't go our way within, I guess, 60 minutes. But let's see how it goes. Anyways, what should we go with in terms of the team talk? There's a revenge aspect, but I think I want to go with the pick up where you left off. Is that available? No. I don't think we're necessarily favourites, so I will go with the revenge team talk and see how that goes. Normally works well, which you can see is motivated the players a lot, but whether that transforms into the pitch or not is a different story. Good news is though, they're ready to walk through walls. That's exactly the kind of effect that you want your team talk to have anyway, so far so good. Just set the replays on, I think we're good to go. So, City gets going through Alexandro, and then Mertens on the ball here. Key man for Manchester City, of course, is very dangerous in the game, and his ability is actually pretty underrated in truth. I think a lot of people see him and don't really consider buying him. Let me have a quick look at him, but if I'm not wrong, he used to be considered at least as a good player for most Premier League sides, not a leading one. But yeah, here he's a leading one. I think maybe last season he was considered a good player for most Premier League sides. But yeah, experienced inside forward, very capable of causing us damage. And playing alongside Silva as well as Aguero, and of course De Bruyne. But anyways, Kent's trying to do his own damage. Gomez under the ball. Salah eventually goes in through, and I'm not sure, it looks like he took a huge deflection over John Stones and it is going to count as his own goal. Salah's shot was going off target apparently, but who cares, that sends us into second and, you know, helps us on our way in our bid to try and get all 3 points. We're getting a nice little replay here through director cut. Gomez heads down to Salah, that's definitely going offside and out of target rather, off target. And Stones is a bit unfortunate because he's just kind of standing there. It's not like he's run into that. Shot just really hits him, and I'm assuming the face, and not only is he hurt, but he has to deal with the issue that he's just helped his team concede a goal. Anyways, Can wins the ball back well for us, and Origi is going to try and make this 2 for us in the same amount of minutes really, but Manchester City are really trying to pin us back straight away. Sandro on the ball for his team. Keeping a good shape so far against City, who are moving the ball around. We have to try and win this back off De Bruyne, who's really making things click for his team. Mertens though through, trying to find Aguero from outside the box. Gomez does well initially, or it wasn't Gomez, it was Wallace, and eventually come away with the ball. And Jorginho goes all the way back to a goalkeeper, just lumps it forward to Origi, and he's never going to win that, but he is through here, thankfully, to a City defensive centre-back issue. And Origi making me regret starting him ahead of Lacazette. The question is, would have Lacazette finished that based on current form? Hopefully we see better from Origi. Anyways, Salah, the advanced playmaker, on the ball for us. Can he get us ticking? Jorginho to Kent. Inside forward, goes for Alexander Trent. Really good ball. Can he deliver into the box though? Cleared by City, but only to Jorginho. Kent's there. Goes to Salah. And the Egyptian this time makes sure he does get his goal, and that is not offside. And City are in some serious trouble here because we've got 2 goals in 15 minutes. I was almost going to say 15 goals in 2 minutes. That would have been incredible. But yeah, things couldn't have gone better than this really. Jorginho does well to find Kent, but the truth is it's poor defending from City. They've all gone towards the likes of Origi and Lallana, I believe that is. But Salah's the one who just catches everyone off guard, and that's what is really nice about having an advanced playmaker from out wide. And that's kind of why I was a bit reluctant to play him as inside forward, even though his preferred position, he did really well with it last season and this season in the inside forward role. But the way we're playing an inside forward on the other side, it kind of makes sense to play an advanced playmaker on this side so we don't have two similar roles. Anyways, Coutinho, of course, now of Barcelona in real life, but he is Manchester City's player, and he's done well to eventually find Bernardo through one of his teammates. Again, we deal with the threat well, and once more we lump the ball forward, and it's Origi who's going to try to get us going on the counter-attack. Beats his man. Can he beat the goalkeeper? Instead he goes to Lallana. Can he finish? Salah continues, and I guess he must have gotten something from the assistant referee, or the referee rather, because it looked like Lallana was fouled there, and it would have been a penalty had Salah not scored, I would assume. And the referee playing in really good advantage, unless he really wasn't tackled. But if you ask me, just pay attention here. That looks as bad a tackle as ever, but it's a good thing that Salah was there either way. Whatever might have happened is a different story entirely, and now it's gone from... Now we're on 3 goals in 15 minutes, and God knows what City are going to do to have to come back from this. I'm actually kind of worried about their half-time team talk, because you can bet that in the second half they come back firing. I'm just hoping our 3 goals is enough security, and it should technically be, but my Liverpool side have had issues with complacency before. Anyways, nothing. First 15 minutes were all about the goals, and it looks like the second 15 minutes nothing has really happened, but City trying to change that here. Achando wins the ball and sends Origi through, and it looks like passing into space right behind City rather undoes them every single time, and Origi with the second clear-cut chance of the game that he's missed single-handedly. You know, I would ask my players to pass into space more if they weren't doing it already, because City looked so poor with that tactical instruction, but my players are already doing it plenty enough and causing serious damage, so me asking that anymore would be a bit pointless. If you ask me about, you know, how do you do tactical tweaks, Salah dropping really deep there, by the way. I'm not too much of a fan of that, but I guess as an advanced playmaker should be allowed. Trent delivers a poor ball into the box and Salah can pick it up again. But yeah, if you ask me about how do you think about making tactical tweaks, I think people always... Oh, that's a fourth. Origi finally grabbing the goal, and that's the one that he really shouldn't have any opportunity to score, but somehow we get away with it. And 4-0 now, and we're really seeing City get destroyed. I think this is the first time on camera where my Liverpool side absolutely destroy, you know, traditional top 6 opposition, I suppose. But yeah, everyone always wonders, how do you make tactical tweaks during the game? How do you decide it? And a lot of people, and I think wrongly, go with the decision, if I see something I like, then I would tell my players to do it. But I feel like if my players are already passing into space plenty and it's causing City plenty of damage, then it doesn't make sense for me to tell them to pass into space even more, because then sometimes that would just mean them lobbing the ball forward stupidly and just taking, you know, silly chances and not playing smartly the way they were before I said pass into space. So I think the more correct mentality of thinking in terms of tactics is, what are my players not doing that I should tell them to do during the game? So are my players not passing more directly than they should? So I'll tell them to pass more directly. Are they not keeping the ball well? So I'll tell them to retain possession. Salah with a bit of a knock here, so I don't want to risk him getting any worse. We'll take him off for Chamberlain, who's very capable in the advanced playmaker role as well. But in general, very positive team talk, and I can't ask for more from my players. None of them looking complacent either, at least in terms of body language, but they're going to seriously have their mentality tested here by Manchester City, who themselves are being seriously tested, and you can bet Guardiola or Pep has told his players off horribly at half-time. But yeah, I think that's the kind of way I think of making tactical tweaks. Some of my players taking stupid shots from distance, maybe I should tell them to work the ball into box. It doesn't make sense to go like, okay, you know, my players are taking a bunch of shots and it seems to be working, so I'll tell them to shoot on sight even more. Then you're just messing up your own tactic, the own thing that was actually working for you. You know, you pretty much ruined the game for yourself. But anyways, have a chance to make it 5, and Jorginho's the one. Eventually goes through, not an offside, and Kent's the one under the ball, and it's 5-0 now. And I think 3 different players had the chance to shoot there. City's defense absolutely crumbling. It's just poor defending. I mean, you know, if I wanted to, could have played it to Chan. Instead he goes to Chamberlain, who's man-marked. Does well to come short for it. No one really trying to tackle him. Spreads it back to Alexander, who finds Jorginho really well, who's free in the box, by the way. And he's unfortunate to miss and hit the post. Chamberlain should have done better, and Edison can't do better than parrying it. It's just that his defenders aren't alive to it. And thankfully Kent is. That helps us score 5. But if you can look at the ratings on the City side here, I don't think they have a single solid performance from anyone, let alone a fine performance or any of that sort. So anyways, I think we can start to consider resting some players. So Trent seems to be a bit tired, but no one on the bench for him. He's on the yellow as well, so I don't want to risk going down to 10 men. But I think even if we did, City shouldn't be scoring 5 goals. So no real substitutions. I'll look to make them later on. A very unfit City side, by the way, that we're facing. And perhaps our aggressive or intense approach has helped us take advantage of a tired team. But anyways, a couple of players here as well that we can maybe look to make some changes. We do only have 2 more substitutions, so we'll have to be a bit wise. Keita's a box-box midfielder, so we'll take off Jorginho. And it looks like Robertson's had one hell of a game, so we want to continue that form. Bring on Alex. Alex is a bit unfortunate this season, in truth. He brought him in as a first choice left back, but actually Robertson's completely overtaken him in that role, performing really well. And I'm just hoping he becomes a leading player for most Premier League sides in terms of his ability. That way he can be our first choice, and I can just look to bring in a youngster with potential instead of Alex, who's, you know, obviously trying to leave. Fair play to him, of course, because haven't really played him much, but every time I do play him, he doesn't take his chance. It is his first season in the Premier League as well, so it does take some adjustment. Origi 6, yes, of course, shouldn't doubt that either. But yeah, I mean, he's just really unfortunate because it happens every now and then in certain seasons where one of your players are just playing too well to ever drop, and Robertson's just having that kind of season, and so his backup's really not getting any game time at all, which is Alex, of course. You know, I'm not going to take off someone who's performing really well just because I bought someone else. You know, if Robertson's doing too well, why on earth am I going to take him off for Alex, who's not performing when asked to? He'll just have to take his chances, just like today, pretty much, whenever you can, and make do. Can we make it 7, though? Apparently you can, and I honestly don't think I've ever, not even just in terms of let's play modes and on camera, I think in general, in any of my saves, I don't think I've ever beaten a top side 7-0. This is just incredible from ourselves, and I think even more incredible from City, the way they're absolutely poor in defending. They're probably City players selling out Pep Guardiola by the looks of it, and they want him gone. Look at these 5.7, 5.4, 5.8 from the defenders, 6.1 here. Such a youthful defense, I suppose, came back to haunt them, really. Silva with a 5.7 as well. I mean, how tough is it for a playmaker or even inside forward to get 5.7? I mean, have you not made one single pass? Is that it? Anyways, looks like we could get one more chance here. Chamberlain, can he make it 8? Why am I doubting my players? And I'm actually stunned at the way we've played today. 8-0 is probably as big as it gets against any opposition I've ever played against on FM18. And I'm just glad that it happened on camera so that you lot would believe me. But yeah, Kent to Chan, who just really good ball to Lallana. In fact, the Englishman's ball is even better to Chamberlain. And from such a tight angle, he does better than Edison would expect. But yeah, 8-0. Can't ask for more, really. I mean, I said that from 3-0 or even 2-0. And my players are just ruthless. Thankfully, we keep the clean sheet. Sterling almost nicking a goal there, but more important, well, not more importantly, but what makes me really happy is that we haven't given them a single clear-cut chance of the game, so we're just as solid as we were going forward. And I think Timo Horn must have been napping for half of the match there. But anyways, 8-0 is how it ends. I'm gonna have to warn my players against complacency after that, that's without a doubt. It's a very good performance, don't let it get to your head. Some players get stressed about it, but really, if your players were smart enough, they wouldn't get stressed. And sometimes it's just a case of your players getting used to you telling them not to be complacent. But yeah, I mean, really can't have imagined this game going even better than it has already. Good news is that it helps our goal difference hugely. I think with Manchester United very much going, you know, punch to punch with us kind of thing, goal difference will become important. We're now +4 ahead of them, and that's good to see. A lot of that obviously coming down to the City game. City stay in 8th, but you know, you'd argue any of these teams are starting to really put some serious pressure on them and can overtake them. 39, 38, 37. You could argue any of these 3 teams, Middlesbrough, West Brom or Bournemouth, can overtake City if they continue to lose in their games in hand. But yeah, I think what made today's result even more important is actually Chelsea's result. If I'm not mistaken, unless that was last week, got beaten by Stoke, and 4-0 is really bad, but I think City will definitely be the ones who are more embarrassed this time around. Chelsea, I don't think they actually play. These are for the teams who have games in hand like ourselves, so we've won ours, and now the next time Chelsea play is actually going to be against Manchester United, so the Leeds game is also just as important, but I think Chelsea play first, so we'll know the result ahead of hand. But yeah, I think that's kind of all in terms of today's episode, but in terms of when we'll be back, that is the fixture for February, so this is just about March now. So we've got these games here for March. 2 Bayern games that are very, very important, of course. Huge fixtures in and of themselves. If I feel like the Bayern result on the first leg, which is us playing away from home, gives us a bit of hope in the second leg, then I might feel the need to show you the second leg just to show you, you know, a really good game, of course. But if we've been absolutely destroyed in the first leg, it doesn't make sense to show you the second leg. And like I always mention in all my episodes, I just want to show you games when we start to meet expectations. So once we reach the board expectations of reaching the quarterfinals, which is after this knockout round, then it will make sense to start showing you Champions League games. Otherwise, we're just not meeting board expectations. There's no point, and we should be focusing on the Premier League, which is our main aim anyways, to win the Premier League. The FA Cup as well doesn't make sense to show you anything until the semi-final. League Cup we've been knocked out of, but very much in the running for all 3 competitions here. And if we can continue putting pressure on Chelsea, you might see them start to stumble in the last 12 games of the Premier League. But anyways, we still didn't actually mention what match will be back. So if we can assume neither the Bayern one works out, then Watford is a decent game. They're in 6th place. West Brom in 10th. Bournemouth in 11th. Probably not as important. And Huddersfield in 19th. It probably makes more sense to actually show you the Watford game, which will be a quite testing one. But it depends, of course, on the other teams and what matches they're playing and how they're performing. But yeah, I think that's all for today's episode. So if you did enjoy it, of course, please do hit the like button and subscribe for more Daily Football Manager 2018 content. And do leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, guys, once again, thank you very much for watching.